I made $30,000 on my first real estate deal, and the cool part was I didn't own the property, I didn't swing a single hammer, and I didn't use any of my own money. Now, how did I do this? Well, this concept called wholesaling, which at the time of this deal, I didn't even know what wholesaling was 3 months prior. But this strategy has absolutely opened the floodgates to real estate investing for me specifically. And I wished I had this video when I first got started. So that's why I'm making this video, hoping that I can help you along your journey to real estate investing. And the coolest part is with wholesaling, I still use the skills I used at the very beginning in my everyday life still today. When I'm buying properties for myself, when I'm helping others, it's an absolutely amazing skill that you can learn that will bless your life for the rest of your life. So let's break it down. What wholesaling is, how it works, and how you can close your first deal in the next 90 days. Wholesaling is quite literally selling your rights to a contract. So let's say I have a contract with Mr. Joe to buy his property for $400,000. Well, I'm gonna get that in writing. Mr. Joe, I'm gonna buy your house for $400,000. And what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna sell this piece of paper, sell the rights to this contract to my friend Ben, who's an investor. The cool thing is because I got such a good deal on this, Ben is going to actually pay me $420,000 for this contract because guess what? He can still make money on it. So the difference of the $420,000 and the $400,000 is what's called my wholesale fee. And that is my money to keep. That is what we call a wholesale deal. Now, a lot of you might think, how is this ethical when you're buying a property for such a steep discount? Well, what happens in wholesaling is you're finding people that value convenience over their net price, right? So if Joe wants to sell his house for top dollar, I'm going to tell him up front that wholesaling is not the way to get top dollar. Now, if you want to close in 2 weeks, no inspections, and make your life as easy as possible, then wholesaling could be a good fit for you. So for the seller, it's valuing convenience. This is a service that is needed in the space because a lot of people, they don't want to go through the troubles of listing. They don't want people going through their home. They want their money fast. And that's what a wholesaler can provide for them. Bob is happy with the contract. He's happy to pay that $20,000 in excess because guess what? When he's doing a fix and flip or when he's buying a rental property, all he cares about is his numbers. He doesn't care what I'm making. So if he's still making money on the property, it's a win for Ben, right? So Ben's happy with the deal. The seller's happy with the deal. I'm happy. I made my cut. All is happy in the world. Cool, simple concept, right? Well, wholesaling is really easy to understand, but it's a lot harder to execute. Now, where do I even begin? There's a lot of mumbo jumbo, what goes on in the contract. How do I find a seller willing to sell? How do I find a buyer willing to buy? And I promise you, they are legit concerns. Those are not easy things to grasp. But what I want you to understand, when it comes to wholesaling, 90% of people fail at the time it is in step one, right? Step one is you find a deal. You find a motivated seller. And 90% of people can't do that. So what I am encouraging you guys to do is to remember the simplicity behind wholesaling. Step one is you find a motivated seller or you find a deal that actually makes sense. Step two, you get it under contract. Step three, you find a buyer, right? That's the simplicity of wholesaling. What I think that you should do and what I did at the very beginning of my wholesaling career is I focused all my energy on number one, find a motivated seller. And that a lot of people's brains, they think, well, what do I do when I find them? What do I do with the contract? What do I do about the buyer? They get so stressed about the future steps that they can't even do step number one. So the solution here, find a motivated seller. That's actually a deal. Now, what you can do here, when you find that motivated seller and it's actually a good deal, your options are going to expand tremendously before your eyes. You're going to reach out to people that have done this before and they are going to say, hey, this is actually a good deal. I will help you for 50% of the fee. Now, listen, 50% of a deal is much better than 100% of nothing. When you partner with someone on a deal, your chances of closing go up tremendously. When I say tremendously, I mean like probably 400%. The reason being, the contract is going to be a lot smoother. Finding a buyer is going to be a whole lot smoother. And the strategy to go from start to close and actually get paid is going to be a lot smoother. There's different things that can come up in these transactions that can be confusing. So having that partner is absolutely massive. So step one, focus on finding a seller, focus on finding a deal that actually makes sense, and be very open to partnering on at least your first 3 deals. That would be my advice for you. Now, the cool part when you partner, not only is the rest of the process going to be easier for you, but let's talk about the money side, because a lot of people are hesitant to partner because they don't want to give up 50% of their check, which I get, right? So I'm going to run you through this scenario to where it might not seem so bad partnering with someone. Let's say you think that you can get $10,000 on a deal, and based on who you know in terms of buyers, $10,000 might be your number for your assignment fee. Well, guess what? If a wholesaler has been doing this for 10 years and their buyers list is 10 times as big as yours, the chances of them getting a higher contract, a bigger assignment fee is pretty likely, right? So even if they get $15,000 for that contract, it's still more than $10,000. So instead of that $10,000 that you thought you were gonna get, maybe you're getting $7,500, but the process and the likelihood of you closing goes up tremendously. Partnering isn't as bad as it seems in terms of what you're gonna get paid, and your likelihood of closing goes up so much that I think it's an absolute no-brainer on at least your first 3 deals. If you don't have a partner, and let's say you get this under contract, I'm going to go through what I would do to get this to the closing table. So step 1, you find a motivated seller who is willing to sell and the deal makes sense. Step 2, the contract work. If you don't have a partner that you can lean on, I would honestly hire a lawyer. Yep, you're gonna have more fees, but guess what? If you don't know how to do the contract piece, I would highly suggest paying for a lawyer to do it for you. Now, step number 3, how do I find a buyer? If you don't have a buyer's list yet, if the deal is good enough, you can put that deal on a Facebook group. I would put it on multiple Facebook groups and blast it out and try and find buyers that way. That's one aspect. But if you want to do this right, building a true buyer's list is absolutely crucial. Now, how do you do that? Facebook groups is not the best place for a buyer's list. Going to events where other investors are at, networking face to face. When a buyer gets a phone call from you specifically about a deal and they feel it's exclusive, they're much more likely to transact on that because they're the only ones looking at it. When it's in front of that Facebook group, in front of thousands of people, people are already assuming that it's 1, going to get snatched up, or 2, that it's a bad deal because it's in front of the masses. So building a buyer's list is absolutely crucial, and I would take that as a serious step. Again, another reason why partnering in your first few deals is not a bad way to go. So to recap, to simplify wholesaling in general, step 1, you're going to find a motivated seller or a deal that actually makes sense. Step number 2, you're going to get that under contract. Step number 3, you're going to assign that to a buyer. Now, in that recap, what I'm going to tell you again and again, like I have, is that partnering, especially on your first 3 deals, will help the chances of you closing go up tremendously well. It can get you a bigger assignment than you possibly thought, and it's going to help you learn a lot more that would make you more money in the future. If you learned something in this video, make sure you hit that subscribe and hit that like button. I post a lot more on seller financing and how to wholesale, so I would love to see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.